Welcome back, everybody, to another dazzling edition of a show that we occasionally refer to as First Ring Daily. Sometimes we refer to it as Skype Doesn't Work Correctly Daily, or other little tidbits. But before we dive in here, today's show is brought to you by Cloudberry Lab. Check them out at cloudberrylab.com/FRD for a free trial offer, and grab that goodness while you can before the offer goes away. But Paul?
Brad, if I might, so people understand how this works. Every day before we start, I look at OneNote. Brad has usually added some notes. I found today's notes to be particularly amusing, and I hope this doesn't ruin any of the surprises you had planned for the show, but I'd like to go through them right now. It says, in order, pants. That's one item we're going to discuss today. Google PWA support. Paul, why did you send me 26 Skype messages? And Brad bought a Switch.
He's not wrong, folks.
That is the excitement we have to look forward to today.
Paul, so two things. To address item number one, I'm not wearing pants today.
I see.
I am, in fact, wearing shorts. Because it is, at this exact moment, 70 degrees Fahrenheit, which is something warm in Celsius. I got whatever it is, probably 22 Celsius, give or take.
Yeah, it's probably 18, 20, somewhere there. Maybe.
Yep, somewhere right around there.
Yep.
And but even before then, the pants. So before the show, and actually a couple of people have brought it up, and I pinged Paul about it this morning. Paul, do you remember what I asked you this morning?
Well, let's see. You said you were sitting outside, and you said it was nice out.
Something about your technical setup, if you will.
Oh, the camera.
Yes. You are much more clear right now.
I've changed nothing. I can't explain this. I tried to describe to you. You may not recall this, but I always had camera issues back in Dedham, and Andrew theorized it had something to do with FiOS and that some link between me and wherever was causing this issue. And we went through, I think it was 3 different Logitech C920s, and then we eventually, for the First Ring Daily podcast, got that capture card set up with a really nice camera, like not a web camera, but an actual video camera. So obviously I'm in a different place now, different kind of internet connection, different, linkage between me and wherever. But yeah, I still occasionally have this issue, and I'm on a different computer. That's the other thing. I mean, I use different computers all the time. That's why Andrew kind of thought it was something to do with my connection, but I still use, it's a C920.
Yeah, somebody commented on it yesterday, like, Paul's a little blurry, and I noticed it too, because when you jumped onto your other computer last week when I put the French doors in, you were nice and clean, and then now you've changed absolutely nothing, and it's working. The only consistency here is that we use Skype for ripping the video.
Yeah, I like that you call Skype the consistency, but I agree. Skype is the same, we use Skype. It is interesting to me when I use something that should be less good that oftentimes it appears to be better. So, for example, I could wear a USB headset when I'm on the road, and I will actually have people write in and say, hey, actually, you sounded great this week. What did you change? And, what I changed was I'm using some portable equipment instead of my normal desktop setup, which is like this incredible, professional microphone rig with like I don't know what you call it, a USB, probably analog to digital converter or whatever that thing is. I also get that with the camera, the webcam that's built into the Surface Book, which I think is what I used that day that you're referring to. It's not particularly good. It's not notable in any way. And for some reason, it worked fine. In fact, arguably where I was in the sunroom, I'm all wireless in this house, which wasn't the case in Dedham. That room is further from any wireless access point than almost any room in the house, actually. In fact, I mean, from here, I'm right next to it, so it should be very good here. Welcome to technology. I said before, it's magic.
It is magic. The fact that this podcast is produced and scene switching and everything else works every week, which me saying that means that this one's not going to be working. Damn it, I shouldn't have jinxed it, is also a little bit of magic in the making.
Yeah. By the way, with regards to the weather, I will point out that I just went out inside and checked. I looked at a thermometer. It is fully 20 degrees less warm here than it is where you live. It is going to be 70. I don't know if it's today or tomorrow, but it's coming here. But it's definitely warmer than it was. But it's amazing how different those two temperatures are when you think about it, because we're not really that far apart.
No, we're really not, but that just means good things on the horizon. And if you wish, tomorrow, Paul, you could do like I'm going to right after this, and I'm going to the driving range to swing a club and hit a small ball, probably off and to the right in some direction. But you know what? I will be happy.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of time tomorrow. I've got a Windows Weekly, of course, in the afternoon, and then I'm going to go to a Philadelphia area user group meeting tomorrow night. So I pretty much have to leave right after Windows Weekly. So if I get out of the house, I should say, so out of what? If I get outside, it's going to have to be in the morning, I guess, or very early afternoon. But yeah, I will try.
We will see. We will see. But one thing that is happening, and Paul, I actually sent this to you yesterday because I was like, this is right up Paul's alley, is that Google has started to document some of their PWA formal direction for their OSs. And if you've watched the show for any length of time other than about 6 minutes, you will know that we're big fans of PWAs here. And Paul, what is Google doing, and why should we be excited?
Yeah. Google, of course, is responsible for PWA. They're the ones that created it. And when they did so, they did it for mobile. They did it for Android. And so what they focused on was the Android app experience for those small form factor devices, and discoverability of the apps was just happened via browsing the web. And so when Microsoft heard about this, the big innovations that they brought to the table were making PWAs work on desktop class operating systems like Windows, and also to integrate PWAs into the store. Google thought these were such great ideas. They've been actually collaborating on this. For all of the kind of nonsense competitive stuff that we hear between Google and Microsoft, in this particular case, these guys are working on the same kind of technologies. They respect each other. They talk about each other a lot in very positive ways, and they learn from each other. And so Microsoft is dropping support over time for their hosted web apps technology because they found that PWA was better. Google, by comparison, is going to adopt some of the things that Microsoft has brought to PWA, and there's two big ones. One is support for desktop class applications, meaning that you'll be able to run PWAs on Chrome OS, and they'll look good on Chrome OS, right? They'll take up the whole screen if you want them to, and they won't just be little phone apps, which is one of the goofy things with Android apps on Chrome, by the way. If you ever tried that, a lot of the apps, in the window only runs in this little phone-looking thing, and then you can expand it out, and sometimes they look okay, and sometimes they don't. But PWAs support a kind of a scalable UI, and so that's something that can happen elegantly. So they're supporting that. And they're going to, over time, although not right away, also allow you to find PWAs via their own store, which in this case is the Google Play Store. So Google today has a separate store for Chrome. They're actually getting rid of that, and they're going to make the Play Store the one store for all of their platforms. I think PWA going to the store might be tied to that. The other thing that they noted, and I already kind of knew this was true, but it was nice to kind of have it laid out. Apple has never officially come out and announced, like, hey, we're supporting PWA. However, Apple does do these developer drops very regularly, iOS, Mac OS, and their other platforms, and they are explicitly supporting 3 of the 4 core PWA technologies in Safari on both iOS and the Mac, meaning that PWA support is coming to those platforms. I expect that they will formally announce this at WWDC, which is probably happening in June this year. But regardless, off the top of my head, let's see if I can remember all 3 or all 4 of them. The one they're not supporting yet, the one that's not in active development but is under consideration, is Push API support. And then the other 3 were Service Worker, Manifest, and Caching API. So basically, if you combine all 4 of those things, those are the base requirements for your web app to become a PWA. You'll still be able to run PWAs on Apple's platforms, obviously, through the browser. Of course, they will work. But what you want to see is support for all of that stuff, and anybody able to add them to the operating system directly, like you can on Android today and on Windows 10 very soon. So lots of good stuff there. It's a lot of just a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah. No, this is a right step forward for the web, I believe, in general, because all the major players are coming together, singing Kumbaya, holding hands, and going to make this a reality. And
actually, I should say, if you're a Mozilla fan, for example, Mozilla supporting PWA, you can today on Android using, I think, the beta version of Firefox, add PWAs to your Android home screen and to your Android app list using Firefox instead of Chrome. That's kind of interesting. I would expect that to be the case on other platforms as well, including Windows, right? That's kind of awesome. And then the other bit, and I should have mentioned this earlier, is Google is also looking forward to adding other native APIs to PWA, meaning that PWA will be able to do more things that the native platforms can do. And so the first one they're looking at apparently is Contacts API. And so they're trying to figure out one that will work across all the platforms so that you can integrate with whatever contact store you have on your platform.
Neat is the word that popped into my head. But yeah, this is good. This is good. This is now we just kind of got to sit back, kick our feet up a little bit, and wait as developers, because it's one thing to have support, but now we need the true PWAs to get there and manifest. But the fact that all of these major...
That was a good pun, by the way, because there's a manifest file in the PWA, but please continue.
Yeah. Now we just got to wait for all the developers to take care of their side of the story and make sure that they're building those apps. But considering that Google, Microsoft, Mozilla, and Apple's getting there slowly as well, are doing this, there's no reason not to support this platform or to go down that development route.
Yeah. And by the way, with regards to Apple, I mean, you know the way they work. They're very quiet for a long time, and then all of a sudden they own it, you know. They did this with AR very recently. It's a good example. They did it with even something like wireless charging. Like, just Apple entering this market makes it a thing. Like, all of a sudden there are going to be all these awesome accessories and stuff that just weren't there before. Apple will suddenly one day, PWA will be it. And it's just, there's no doubt this is going to happen. And for Windows 10 users in particular, this next version of Windows 10 that's coming out probably a month from now will have integrated support for this. The apps will be in the store. And then I think over time, and this is the way Microsoft described it a few weeks ago, there's going to be a snowballing effect where more and more apps happen. It's going to have a really dramatic effect across the board.
Yep. My dream right now is that Apple is building iMessage in a PWA little package, and that's how they'll bring it to the desktop one day.
A Google employee showed a PWA version of YouTube running on Windows 10. Now, it was probably just a prototype. It was probably like a fake shot or whatever, but that's what he chose to describe this work. That was the example. It wasn't on Chrome, and it was a YouTube. It was a Google app, like a Google web app. It's big, right? It wasn't like Twitter Lite. It wasn't Starbucks or whatever, like the typical things we see. So it's happening.
Yeah. Speaking of things that are happening, Paul, so I was on a call this morning with our boss, George, and I was on for maybe 45 minutes to an hour. And then actually one of the reason why we think Paul's video might be better is that he's like, hey, Skype tends to crap out after you use it for a while. Just restart it. And it did fix it.
Yeah, years of experience have taught me.
But Paul, when I got done with that call, I looked at my Skype thing, and I figured, actually, I thought Skype had screwed up, is what I honestly thought had happened. Because I had 26 messages from you unread.
Sorry about that.
And to be honest, I haven't read them yet. What are they?
Yeah. So I ended up writing an article based on the question I asked you, which amounted to this, which was, did you know that this happened? Right. In other words, how do I even tell this story? This is like, I don't want to drag this out, but for the past few weeks, I've been working on various chapters of the Windows 10 book that I have to update them for the latest version, but I've not actually updated the book. Like, these chapters are all in like a state of unreadiness, So last week, and I thought, I'm going to pick one that I can finish. I just want to get something done. Like, I want to have that sense of accomplishment. So I have to pick a chapter where maybe a lot hasn't changed between the last two versions of Windows. What chapter should I pick? And I went through the list. I looked at all the stuff I was working on, and the one that I picked was backup and recovery. Because let's face it, these features don't change very much, except that they do. They change all the time. Not some of them, like system image backup, the feature from the legacy Windows backup tool, has never changed. It has never changed. I retake the screenshots for every version. I just did it over the weekend. I compare them to the one I had from last time. You could look at it from Windows 7. It is exactly the same. This tool has never changed. Neat. But there's a thing called PC. Well, actually, it's called Reset This PC now. They've changed the name a couple of times. You may recall it debuted in Windows 8. And at the time, there were two separate tools, which we called PC Reset and PC Refresh. PC Reset was a nuke from space option, reinstall Windows 8. PC Refresh was, we're going to reinstall Windows 8, but we're going to retain your user account with some of its settings, your personal data, your documents and everything. And then any store apps that you had installed, your desktop apps will all be blown away. It was a great feature, a great set of features, I should say. It's evolved over time. So with Windows 10, I don't know if it was the very first version, probably was, but let's say Windows 10, Those two tools became one tool. It became Reset This PC. It's a wizard. You go through it. You get the options to do reset or refresh right in the wizard. You can clean wipe the disk. So if you're going to sell the PC or give it away, you don't have to worry about anyone stealing your data. And it gives you the options for what you want to save. It's built in. It's nice. Whatever. PC makers can change it. They can add their own utilities to it and stuff, so that when you reset the PC, you're resetting it to the PC that they gave you, not to a basic version of Windows 10.
Sure.
There's a bunch of other recovery stuff going on. I don't want to drag it out. You can read the article, but the basic gist of it is this. In Windows 10 version 1607, they added another thing, another new feature called Refresh Windows. It's in the recovery page of what's it called? Backup. I think I know. I've only been looking at it for 3 years. Update and security, right, in the settings app, and then there's a recovery page. And that's where you access Reset This PC and also the Windows recovery environment. But there's a link there, and it appeared in the middle of 2016. It says, learn how to start fresh with a clean installation of Windows. Now, for the past two versions of Windows 10, this was a really cool thing. It was so cool, I wrote up a tip about it. You click on the link, it runs this thing called Refresh Windows. It downloads the very latest version of Windows, not the one that's on your computer necessarily, but literally the latest version. Mm-hmm. And then it lets you wipe out your computer and reinstall Windows. What's neat about it is if you got your computer from Dell or HP or Lenovo and it came with like utilities and crapware and whatever it was, this thing, instead of using Reset This PC, you can use this, get a completely clean version of Windows. It gets rid of all the crap. And that's why I wrote it up as a tip. It was kind of a cool tool. In Windows 10 version 1709, that link is still there, but when you click on it, it loads a new application new to that version of Windows. It's called the Windows Defender Security Center. And Windows Defender Security Center is another one of those things that's sort of like something that used to be in the past. Remember, we had Action Center and Security Center back in Windows XP Service Pack 2. It's kind of an all-in-one place for security, reliability, performance, whatever. Now I got to bring this thing up because I have to look and see. Hidden in here is a tool called Fresh Start. It's under Device Performance and Health. Fresh Start is not PC refresh. It uses the Reset This PC image that's already on your computer, but it keeps your user count, some settings, your personal data, and your store apps. It blows away your desktop apps. It doesn't offer any way to clean wipe the disk, whatever. So it too can be modified by the PC maker. They have, in effect, removed a really cool tool. But adding to the goofiness, they've gone back to the system where they have PC reset and PC refresh. That's what these tools are today, right? Reset This PC is PC reset. Fresh Start is PC refresh. They've gone back. But they're not in the same place. Like you launch Reset This PC from settings, and you launch Fresh Start, which is Refresh PC, from the Windows Defender Security Center. What is going on?
That is a very fine level and granular look at the reset options of Windows 10, and I congratulate you for noticing all these changes.
I'm writing the book.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the thing. I spent all day Sunday on this, all day. I thought I was going to kick this one right out and be done with it. Nope. I spent all day yesterday afternoon on this until we finally left to go to the baseball park. And it's still not done. It's changed so much. I have to rewrite a huge portion of the chapter. Microsoft.
All I can think of is damn you, Microsoft.
Yeah. Yeah, so I wrote it up today as a premium article, but the gist of it is that there are too many ways to do the same thing in Windows 10, and it's getting ridiculous.
Well, it's not like they have two control panels, so, you know.
This is just one example. And it's a good one, I think. But, if you're running Windows 10 and you want to blow this thing away, there are several ways to do that. There's the two things I just mentioned. Refresh Windows is still available on the web if you know where to look. You can use the media creation tool to download an ISO. You can blow it away that way. You can boot your system to the Windows recovery environment and blow it away that way. You could use system image backup, create a clean backup of your computer, and then boot into a recovery environment and restore it that way. There's like a million different ways to do this. It's all the same thing. Why isn't this one tool? Stupid.
That's just the way the cookie crumbles up in Redmond, Paul. I got nothing.
This is why I'm insane, Brad. This is why.
You know, I think that's one contributing factor. I think there's, multiple. Paul, but a little bit of an embarrassing confession here.
Mm-hmm.
So I rediscovered that Ethernet's pretty awesome.
Yes. Yeah. I run into that problem when I play Call of Duty over Wi-Fi. There is a lag issue for sure.
Yeah. So here's what I've discovered. So as you know, I have many Sonos speakers in my house, and I was having some issues with dropouts. Not like once the song's playing, but like you tell you scream at the computer or the smart speaker to play a song, and it starts playing it, and it starts on the first speaker, then it jumps to the second, then it kind of fills out in all the other speakers, and it's like a 3-second lag. Just nothing crazy, but enough to be annoying. And I don't know why I didn't know this, but apparently, I believe all Sonos speakers have a bridge built into them, or whatever technical term Sonos uses. And what you do is you take just one speaker and you plug it into your router. And it has to be permanently plugged in. And what it does is it creates its own network in your house on top of your own network, or on top of your existing network, called Sonos Net. And as soon as I did that, now when I scream at the Sky computer to play whatever song I want, it now works instantaneously.
I got to tell you something, and I have to admit I'm a little disappointed, because I read Brad bought a Switch, and I thought you bought a Nintendo Switch, but now it has become obvious to me that you mean a networking Switch.
Well, so see, here's the problem, is that my Amplify HD home Wi-Fi solution, which I do like.
Yep.
The problem is that the base router has 4 ports plus Ethernet. Yep. Plugging in my one speaker pushes me over the edge, and I don't have enough ports. So,
no, I had to do the same thing on the stupid Google. The Google thing only has basically 1 port. I think it's, well, maybe 2, but I had to do the same thing, and it's just it's kind of embarrassing to admit this, but I had the cable guy, when they put cable in, move the entryway for the cable modem where it comes in through the wall to be behind the TV. And part of the point of that is that it's more centrally located in the house, but it's also behind the TV, which means that the Apple TV and whatever other devices I may have back there can connect via an Ethernet cable now.
Yeah.
And that will enable true 4K streaming at a, far more reliably. It's basically the same thing you're talking about, but for video.
Yep.
And I don't think I've actually connected any of these things via cable yet, but it's literally sitting there. Just all you have to do is plug the thing in on both sides. And
yeah, so mine gets a little more nuanced than that. I guess the good thing is that since I had cable run to the bedroom, which is kind of the issue of all this and why I actually really need the Ethernet and the switch, there's a coax cable run into there. Well, I no longer have cable, and I'll probably never have cable again. But what I do have, which I still need to write up, I forgot about that, as this HD home run, which is great. But the problem is that it takes your over-the-air stuff and blasts it across your network. And nothing says reliability and quality like blasting uncompressed HD video across your home network to an Apple TV, which, to be honest, doesn't have the best networking.
Does it actually make a squeaking sound as it goes? Like, it like comes, this is an over-the-air thing. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So you're like awesome over-the-air 4K video streaming from local channels, whatever. And then it hits, what does it go into? Where's the end?
So I have an antenna, like a physical antenna sitting outside. It's called an HD home run. And basically it's a box, and that antenna plugs into that box, and that box requires a hardwired Ethernet connection, which again, the problem, into your router. And then it takes that signal and blast it to an Apple TV. So you install an Apple TV app, and then you can watch the signal, but it's using your home network to stream uncompressed video, which it works. It actually, to be honest, works pretty well, but
it's
I know that
it free, right? Like, or do you pay for the HD home run service? Is there a service?
Nope. It was $75 one time.
Yeah. So the over-the-air stuff is free.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. I mean, I've been happy with the quality of TV, like live TV on, like, say, YouTube TV. We've been watching the Olympics or whatever, but that's actually the fact that you can do that through Apple TV is interesting.
Yeah. So if you're going to do it through Apple TV, it's dumb. You have to buy an app. But so if anybody's listening to this and wants to replicate my setup, which I will write up here, it's $100. Just commit yourself to spending $100 and you'll be happy. And to be honest, it's the greatest thing ever. Uh, we never have to switch inputs anymore. You can watch 2 live streams at any time, or you can pay $150 and be able to watch 4 because you got to buy one with more TV tuners.
Right.
But typically, like, my wife can watch it upstairs, and I can be down in the office and watch it on my Windows 10 PC. I can watch it on my phone. I can watch it anywhere in your house.
What I mean, I've done over-the-air stuff in the past. In my previous home, I had kind of bad connectivity options. I would have had to go up on the roof basically, and I had a very small smattering of channel choices. Like, what do you get over the air?
We get a lot.
Yeah,
as I'm learning. So
yeah.
we get the local stations, the ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox. And then there's also a PBS station here, but I am also picking up the PBS station out of Dayton. And I'm also picking up actually some channels out of Chicago as well.
Oh, jeez, that's amazing.
Yeah, like WGN. Right. We're getting some Indianapolis stations occasionally show up as well. So I'm actually thinking about buying actually a nice antenna, because right now it's like a 30 or 50 mile range antenna, and it was actually an indoor one. It's a piece of crap. It was like $9, but I'm thinking about getting a nice antenna. And it, terribly speaking, or however you want to judge me, I only use this to watch golf and football, and it's absolutely perfect. I was
literally just going to ask, is this just for sports, or
Pretty
is
much.
It sports plus network TV? Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. No, it would be worth it just for that. Yeah, it's worth it. That's not embarrassing.
It has been, that paired with the Sonos One have been probably my best purchases in a very long time, and it just coincidentally happened back to back. But now I'm in this, like, I tweeted out, I was like, hey, well, I ran one Ethernet cable that felt empowering. Why don't we run like a whole bunch more?
And, I'll be the mayor of this place in a matter of time. Yep. Yeah, I need to get a couple of, I mean, literally I could use like 1 foot or 2 foot long, if they existed, Ethernet cables, just to get my devices going. I got to do this. I don't know why I haven't done this yet. It's just late. I think the issue is when you look at the TV, it looks beautiful from the front, but when you look at it from the back, it's like this disgusting tangle of wires and whatever already. And I like the thought of opening it and just having the whole mess plop down onto the floor and, whatever. But I will do that.
You got anything else for today, Paul?
Not really. Same old, work stuff. I don't know. You?
Nope. I'm just going to render this video, upload it, and then go to the driving range, grab some lunch maybe while I'm out. And
actually, well, I'll mention this briefly. No, I won't. It's too soon.
Wow.
Too soon.
Well, on that cliffhanger, folks, today's show is brought to you by Cloudberry Lab. Check them out at cloudberrylab.com/FRD for a free trial offer and learn how to back up all your goods to Amazon, Google, basically anywhere you can connect to. And they do it a lot better than everybody else. Check them out, cloudberrylab.com/FRD, and we'll catch you right back here tomorrow on First Ring Ethernet Daily.